Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Paul Graney. President Trump on the second leg of his Asia tour, sharing what he thinks he'll leave the Xi Jinping meeting with, and a wild card, the president floating this about a meeting with the North Korean dictator. What is the overarching objective of Trump's diplomatic tour to Asia? We discuss this with an analyst. A Navy helicopter and a jet go down in the South China Sea within 30 minutes of each other, while we know about the crashes as authorities investigate. Flights are delayed across the country as airports feel the effects of the government shutdown, and the Department of Agriculture says 41 million Americans could lose SNAP benefits. A special session in Indiana will seek to redraw the state's congressional map. Will it succeed amid national fights over redistricting?
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
It's great to have you here this Monday afternoon. President Trump is in Tokyo getting a royal welcome by Japan's Emperor Naruhito, and he says he's hopeful about a trade deal with China. And we also have what the president has to say about a meeting with Kim Jong-un. NTD's Washington correspondent Mariotsu has more from Tokyo.
But we have China coming, and it's going to be very interesting. I think we're going to come away with a deal.
President Trump is projecting optimism about a trade deal with China as he arrives in Tokyo, Japan, for the second leg of his Asia tour. This is coming as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he's reached a very substantial framework with his Chinese counterpart while in Kuala Lumpur.
I would expect that the threat of the 100% has gone away, as has the threat of the immediate imposition of the Chinese initiating a worldwide export control regime. I'm not going to give you the details here, but I can tell you that the soybean farmers are going to be extremely happy with this deal for this year and for the coming years.
Secretary Bessent says the framework also includes a final deal on the sale of TikTok in the U.S.
And a potential wild card. President Trump says that he's open to extending his Asia trip to meet with Kim Jong-un.
I'd love to meet with him if he'd like to meet. If he wants to meet, I'll be in South Korea.
President Trump on Sunday inked deals with Thailand and Malaysia to diversify the U.S.'s critical mineral supply chain amid China, the world's top miner of rare earths, tightening its export controls. After signing those deals and brokering a peace declaration between Thailand and Cambodia, President Trump left Malaysia for Tokyo, where Emperor Naruhito gave him a royal welcome at the Imperial Palace. Their last meeting was 6 years ago during President Trump's first term.
And looking forward to President Trump's schedule Tuesday, he's expected to meet with Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanai Takaichi, who President Trump has spoken favorably about as being close to Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister of Japan and President Trump's late friend. And then President Trump is expected to visit with U.S. troops aboard the USS George Washington before having a dinner with business leaders. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, Mariotsu, NTD News.
And it's been about 1 week since Sanai Takaichi was elected as Japan's first female prime minister, and there's already overwhelming support for the new government.
The latest Nikkei TV Tokyo poll found nearly 3/4 of respondents support Takaichi's cabinet. This is one of the highest ratings of any new cabinet since 2002. Compare this to the 51% initial support for the previous government of Shigeru Ishiba. Ishiba resigned last month after his party failed to secure a majority in the upper house in a parliamentary election. As for Takaichi, she's backed by a new coalition of the Liberal Democratic Party and the Japan Innovation Party. More than half of respondents in the survey approved of her cabinet member choices and top LDP officers. The new hope for Japan's prime minister is playing out in the markets, too. For the first time ever, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 stock average closed above 50,000. For the first time ever, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 stock average closed above 50,000. An investment firm explained that the high approval ratings are boosting investor confidence about political stability and supported investor sentiment. There are critics of Takaichi's government too. A disapproval rating came in at about 20% from the new poll. The most common reason was because of the LDP-led cabinet.
And while aboard Air Force One on his way to Japan, President Trump discussed Russian missiles.
Russia said this week that they tested a new missile that can go more than 8,000 miles. Is that saber rattling for you? What is that?
They know we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off their shores. So, I mean, it doesn't have to go 8,000 miles. And they're not playing games with us. We're not playing games with them either.
Putin said yesterday Russia had successfully tested a nuclear-powered cruise missile. Moscow says it can pierce any defense shield, adding that the missile flew over 8,000 miles. Trump said today that Putin should end the war in Ukraine instead of testing a nuclear-powered missile. The president also said he recently had an MRI done and that the results were perfect. The United States and China have agreed on a framework for a new trade deal, marking a potential breakthrough in one of the world's most consequential economic relationships. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that and other key trade developments from the president's Asia tour.
President Trump says he's confident of hashing out a deal with Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping when they meet in the coming days. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jameson Greer met with top Chinese officials on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Malaysia. Here's Bessent on NBC News yesterday.
We've created a framework for the two leaders to discuss on Thursday in Korea.
Bessent says the upcoming talks will go beyond trade, touching on broader international issues as well.
I think that they will also be discussing President Trump's global peace plan that he's been so successful at, both here in Asia, the Middle East, and now he's looking to Ukraine, Russia.
Both sides are looking to avert an escalation of their trade war after Trump threatened new 100% tariffs on Chinese goods and other trade curbs starting on November 1st. That was in retaliation for China's expanded export controls on rare earth magnets and minerals. Bessent called the 100% tariffs Trump threatened China with old news.
I think we will be able to discuss them helping us get this terrible fentanyl crisis under control. I think we are going to be able to discuss substantial soybean and ag purchases for our American farmers. I think we are going to be able to discuss more balanced trade.
Meanwhile, a group of Chinese H-6K bombers recently flew near Taiwan to practice what the Chinese called confrontation drills. Chinese state media reported the move yesterday, publicizing the action just a few days before Trump is due to meet Xi in South Korea. The HSK is a strategic bomber that can carry nuclear weapons. Taiwan's defense ministry denounced the report as a propaganda ploy aimed at intimidation. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And two U.S. Navy aircraft went down in the South China Sea yesterday. The two crashes came within an hour of each other. First, a Seahawk helicopter crashed at 2:45 p.m. local time. Officials from the U.S. Pacific Fleet say it was conducting routine operations. But about 30 minutes later, officials said a Super Hornet fighter jet from the same carrier also went down. All 5 crew members in both accidents, 3 from the helicopter and 2 on board the fighter jet, were recovered safely. The crashes are under investigation. No further details about possible causes have been released. And speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, President Trump said the crashes could have been caused by what he called bad fuel. He ruled out foul play and said there was nothing to hide. And Trump and China's Xi Jinping will meet on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Joining us to discuss is Yuichiro Kakutani, policy advisor on China and the Indo-Pacific to the Heritage Foundation's Asia Studies Center. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
And the Trump administration recently launched an investigation into whether China has fulfilled phase 1 of his trade agreement with Trump during the first term. Did they?
I think the answer is pretty clear, and we know what the investigation is going to say. You know, the Chinese did not fulfill their end of their bargain, and this just demonstrates that it's difficult to negotiate with the Chinese because whenever they sign an agreement and say, "Oh, we're going to keep up our end of their agreement," they rarely do. And I think President Trump is going to already knows this and knows that that's going to be the outcome of this investigation. And I think that's informing a lot of his thinking going into the Xi-Trump summit that's coming up this week, where these are actors that have their own agenda, and President Trump hopefully will face them off with an America First posture and give them a tough time so that they will be forced to actually abide by any sort of framework or agreement that they sign with the United States in the future.
What's China's record like when it comes to beyond trade, to keeping its word to the United States?
I gotta say, it's a very poor track record, right? There's been a lot of examples of Chinese actors, a Chinese state lying, just straight up lying to the American people. There was the infamous cases during the Obama administration where the Chinese told President Obama, "Oh, we're no longer going to conduct any cyber attacks against you guys. We're not going to build any more islands in the South China Sea." And then within months, that turned out to be the case. And as of right now, Chinese cyber incursions into the United States is as worse as it's ever been. And obviously, the sort of Chinese buildup in South China Sea continues. So this is just in the military domain, in the economic domain, in the cyber domain. It's the Chinese, through their experience and through their reputation, has demonstrated themselves to not be great negotiators that keep their words.
I think one thing that kind of spans these various domains you listed is China's control of rare earth production and supply. How critical is that as a, say, strategic threat to the United States?
I think it's a very, very dire strategic threat that the United States economy faces. This is a gun that the Chinese government has pointed against the U.S. economy. Right? They're threatening to shut down a lot of our critical manufacturing in the United States, including not just limited to our military industry, but our car factories and so many other key industries that supports our economy. And I think this is a case where the Chinese have shown their true colors. They said, we're not going to have a good faith negotiation with Americans. We are going to use all of our economic leverage to coerce the Americans into kowtowing to us. And that sort of attitude is not going to fly with President Trump. Which is why he responded with a threat to levy 100% tariffs, and it seems like the Chinese got the message.
How would you describe the current approach or relationship with China under the second Trump administration?
I think the relationship between the United States and China under this administration, it's ebbed and flowed, right? There's been periods where President Trump took very decisive actions and, threatened at one point up to 200% tariffs on the Chinese. I think it's over time there's been ebb and flow. Right now, I think the administration is trying to stabilize the relationship while still making sure that the Chinese do not continue to take advantage of our workers. So I think that's where you see, as simultaneously as a president is pursuing a trade deal with the Chinese, you've been seeing new rules like the 50% export control rules that drastically expands the U.S. export control regime on Chinese companies. And so I think you're seeing while there's been continued tactical negotiations with the Chinese, there's been a continuous posture from the administration of confronting China.
Yurichiro, beyond politics or beyond economics, trade, anything, it wasn't long ago that Xi Jinping and Russia's President Vladimir Putin, they were caught on a hot mic discussing immortality through organ transplants. I'm sure you thought it was just incredible to hear them discussing it. As you may know, there's mounting evidence in China that it's forcibly harvesting the organs of persecuted groups like Uyghur Muslims, Falun Gong practitioners. How should China's human rights record factor into U.S.-China trade discussions?
I would say that obviously the President Trump has always consistently brought up these sort of human rights issues. I'm not sure if it will factor as a primary topic of conversation in this upcoming discussion, which seems more focused on trade. But what I do know is that President Trump's team is staffed by a lot of people who with a long experience working on Chinese human rights issues. The best of it is Secretary Rubio, and I think with these sort of good advisors who has a long track record of understanding China's human rights abuses, the administration will continue to focus on holding China accountable for or things like organ harvesting or the detention of Uyghurs and all the other heinous activities that the Chinese Communist Party is inflicting on its citizens.
Do you think it's wise for the current administration to separate those two issues, economic issues and human rights issues?
I think the administration has continued to have those sort of conversations at this maybe not exactly at the same time, but I do know that the U.S. government continues to talk about human rights issues as well as trade issues as well as fentanyl issues. All these sort of we have a very holistic approach when we talk to the Chinese. So I'm not in the room when President Trump will talk to Xi Jinping, so I can't speculate about what exactly he's going to talk about. But you know how President Trump is. He always has a way of tying all these different threads together when he's talking about different things. I'm sure it's not going to just be about trade issues. And as a general trend, this administration has continued human rights actions, even as it has pursued a trade policy with the CCP.
I know recently the president said he would bring up the Taiwan issue with Xi Jinping, and also the kind of situation of jailed media mogul Jimmy Lai, who's in jail, former Hong Kong media mogul. So we'll wait and see. Yurichiro Kakutani at the Heritage Foundation, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And flights are delayed across the country as airports feel the effects of the government shutdown. And the Department of Agriculture says 41 million Americans could lose SNAP benefits.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
Is deep sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
Divinely inspired traditional oil painting inspires compassion. Artwork created in truth and beauty illuminates a path to goodness. Rediscover traditional art, revive classical culture. We warmly invite oil painters from around the world to participate in the 7th NTD International Figure Painting Competition, a celebration of classical realism. Please visit oilpainting.ntdtv.com.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back in stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get our MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. How about our My Towels? They're finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and the only time ever, get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. President Trump said today he would rule out running for the vice presidency in the 2028 federal election. Trump said he would be allowed to do it, but he didn't think the people would like it. He called it too cute. The president praised Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance as potential future Republican candidates. According to the 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, no one may be elected to the U.S. presidency a third time. Some have suggested that one way around this prohibition would be for the president to stand as vice president while another candidate stood for president and resigned. That would let Trump again assume the presidency. Opponents have disputed, though, whether this would be legal. And former Vice President Kamala Harris is hinting she may run for president again. Her comments aired in an interview yesterday. With the BBC, she said, quote, "I am not done." It marked her clearest indication yet that she might launch another presidential campaign in 2028, following her 2024 defeat to President Trump. While Harris said she has not made a final decision, she still views herself as an active player in politics. On a CBS News Sunday morning interview that aired yesterday, California Governor Gavin Newsom confirmed he's considering a 2028 presidential run. Newsom said he currently has no idea if he will enter the race and will make a decision after the 2026 midterm elections. Newsom's term as governor ends in January 2027, and he is unable to seek re-election due to term limits. He has already visited several early primary states, including South Carolina, in an early sign he may be testing the interest of voters. And President Trump said a decision on the next Federal Reserve chair might be made by the end of the year. Speaking on Air Force One this morning, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the pool of candidates has been narrowed to 5. These include Trump aide Kevin Hassett and BlackRock executive Rick Ryder. The president said he's also thinking about Bessent himself as a candidate and mentioned Secretary of State Marco Rubio and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Now we turn now to Capitol Hill, where the government shutdown is now in its 27th day. Pressure growing on Congress to reach a deal as the deadlock disrupts air travel and threatens food assistance. Here are the details.
Answer any questions that you might have.
Airports from Los Angeles to Newark were hit with long delays yesterday as a shortage of air traffic controllers slowed flights nationwide. At Los Angeles International Airport, a 2-hour ground stop was issued because of staffing problems in Oakland. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he expects more disruptions as the shutdown forces controllers to work without pay. Duffy told Fox News the pressure is mounting as more controllers call in sick amid growing financial strain. Trump administration officials say Democrats in the Senate are to blame for the shutdown and its economic fallout. A Republican-backed stopgap failed to make it out of the Senate last week, with the majority of Democrats voting against the bill. It was the 12th time a Senate vote on the plan failed. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told ABC News it's causing embarrassment on the world stage.
It's a global embarrassment what these Democratic senators are doing, keeping the government shut down.
Democrats are pushing back. They say Republicans need to consider their health care proposals, including addressing Affordable Care Act tax subsidies set to expire at the end of the year. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called on House Speaker Mike Johnson to get Republicans back to Congress.
Our view as Democrats is that we want to sit down with anyone, anytime, any place, either at the Capitol or back at the White House, to reopen the government, to enact a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people, while at the same time decisively addressing the Republican healthcare crisis that is crushing the American people.
The shutdown is now the second longest in U.S. history, and its effects are spreading far beyond the airports. The Department of Agriculture says 41 million Americans could lose their food stamps next month if Congress doesn't act to reopen the government. The agency says emergency funds can't be used for regular SNAP benefits once federal money runs out. Democrats have criticized the administration's handling of food assistance funding. They say officials should release contingency funds that were previously allocated to support low-income families. With flights grounded and families bracing for lost benefits, lawmakers remain deadlocked, with no clear path to end the shutdown or its growing fallout.
And the Senate will reconvene this afternoon, but another vote on the short-term funding bill is not on the schedule. That's after failing for the 11th time last week. The House remains out of session this week. And Indiana Governor Mike Braun today called for state lawmakers to return for a special session. They will be redrawing the state's congressional map amid a national fight over redistricting. The effort is intended to give the Republican Party an easier path to maintain control of the House in the 2026 midterms. Indiana lawmakers will convene on November 3rd, but it's unclear if enough of the GOP majority Senate will back the new maps. And opponents are expected to challenge any new maps in court. President Trump has called on Republican states to redraw maps. The White House has held multiple meetings with Indiana lawmakers in recent months. Republicans in Texas, Missouri, and North Carolina have moved quickly to enact new districts, and California Democrats are seeking to counter with their own redistricting plan. Tyler Robinson, the suspected assassin of Charlie Kirk, will be appearing today for a remote-only preliminary court hearing. Utah Judge Tony Graff is expected to rule today on what Robinson will wear during his in-person court appearances in the future. Robinson's lawyers argue for him to be able to wear regular clothes without shackles. They say the intense publicity will make people focus more on his demeanor rather than the case itself. The Utah County Sheriff's Office argues that Robinson should be restrained in court due to security concerns. They might even have him appear remotely. Both sides agree that photos and videos inside the courtroom should be limited. Robinson is charged with aggravated murder and the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Prosecutors have said they will seek the death penalty. And still to come, what is the overarching objective in Trump's diplomatic tour to Asia? We discuss this with our guest coming up.
We come from a long line of farmers, and there's a sense of pride with being part of these multi-generational businesses. But there's also a significant amount of pressure. My senior year of high school, my dad made the decision that this world no longer needed him in it. I don't know if he was overwhelmed by the bills and checks that weren't going to be coming in because of the strawberries dying off, but it breaks my heart that my dad made a permanent decision for a temporary issue. Don't feel like you have to go through it alone.
Farmers have to take care of their physical and their mental health, because what's a farm without a farmer?
In the mornings, that's my time. Watching the sun come up, I can have a cup of coffee and exercise if I want to. It helps me start the day with a sense of gratitude. Yay. Every day is a new opportunity. Don't forget to check in on yourself. Love, your mind.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Where did the time go? Somehow I lost all those years. Where did the time go? I don't know how I got here. How did I get here? I can see now.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. Joining us now to discuss President Trump's visit to Asia and the much-anticipated meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping is Joshua Phillip, senior investigative reporter for the Epoch Times and host of Crossroads on Epoch TV. Josh, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, Paul, great to see you too. And last time we were here, I was interviewing you. You just got back from Hong Kong.
That's right.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah, you were on the ground of those riots.
There you
crazy.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. What a time. Portland actually reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah, huh? Similar, yeah.
Josh.
Just they're fighting the opposite, of course.
Just the opposite, yeah. Big trip for Trump in Asia this week. Looks like he's going to be meeting with Xi Jinping after all. What are you watching most closely?
Well, what I'm watching is this. So Xi Jinping right now is in a weakened state. Internally, the CCP is having a lot of turmoil. Their economy is going belly up. They're losing manufacturing, losing investment. Manufacturing is returning to the U.S. We have a lot of problems with China. They're threatening war against Taiwan. They're backing all the major conflicts we're embroiled in, whether it's, again, they're backing Iran, they're backing Hamas, they're backing, tied in with them through Hezbollah, they're tied in with Russia, of course, in the war against Ukraine. They're also involved in Venezuela, working with Venezuela as it tries to annex parts of Guyana as we get pulled into that conflict. And so in no way is the CCP an ally. They do the money laundering for the cartels through the Chinese banks. We know all of this, and we treat them like a normal trade partner. So my biggest concern right now is that Xi Jinping is going to go to the table, say, good job, Trump, you're amazing. Let me sign any deal you want. It'll be just like Deng Xiaoping when they did the reform and opening up. They'll sign any document and they'll violate it immediately and play nice for the next 3 years until the next leader comes in. And we'll be back at square one, exactly where we were when we first made these bad deals with the CCP.
So you think Trump does not fully understand the nature of the Chinese Communist Party?
I think he doesn't understand that they're not looking at a 2 or 3 year time frame. They're looking at a 10, 15 year, 20 year time frame. And so, what is the long game for the CCP? Well, the long game for the CCP is we live, you die. The long game for the CCP is the death of what America represents for the world, the end of the Pax Americana. The end goal of the CCP is what they call the creation of the multipolar world order and the destruction of the unipolar world order. That's a fancy way of saying overthrow the United States. That's what they talk about. They say this openly. They write it about in their documents. They call us their #1 enemy in everything they write. They've changed none of these policies. They abuse their citizens. They go against every principle of free speech and human rights that America claims to stand for, and we still do business with them. And so they'll come and they'll sign anything we want. They'll, shake your hand and smile at you and wave. They'll make the best trade deal we could possibly have, and they'll do it for the next 3 years and then change. And that's how they operate.
So if we're looking at it, China's looking at this over, say, decades or longer. United States is looking at it much shorter. What should President Trump seek to achieve on this trip?
In my opinion, Trump should look more from a conventional standpoint, that you don't look at the immediate effect, you look at the long-term effect. And so the long-term battle we have with the Chinese Communist Party is a battle of systems. Does the world follow the American model, this belief that government represents people and that government basically is there to defend God-given rights? Or do we look at the Chinese Communist Party's model of totalitarian communism, state socialism, whatever they want to call it? This idea that governments can abuse people in any way they want, and it's business as usual. Because unfortunately, in our deals with the CCP and allowing them to do everything, we don't hold them accountable for anything. We say we're going to, and then we never do. Have we punished them at all, other than minor tariffs for drug trafficking and killing 100,000 Americans a year? Have we punished them at all for bad trade deals and violating just about every trade law and covering up the books and protecting their companies from being audited? Have we punished them at all when we say never again, and they're harvesting the organs of religious believers and persecuting even Christians now as we speak? Have we held them accountable in any way? And if we have not, what do we stand for as a nation? If America does not stand up and start standing for something, we're going to lose our system. We're going to lose our country. And so I think Trump needs to understand what's at stake here. This is not just, making a good deal. This is the future of the United States at war with a country that regards itself at war with us.
Do you expect Trump to tie human rights to any type of trade deal that he might sign over here? I
think he might tie in a little bit. I think Trump might talk about human rights a little bit. it's very likely they're going to raise the Taiwan issue. They're going to talk about, hey, please don't invade Taiwan. Xi Jinping says, yeah, we won't do it for the next 3 years. Right? That's the best you're going to get from them. They're not going to change their policies. The best Trump is going to get, which is what has already been said, is Xi Jinping is going to say, we will not invade Taiwan while you're president. What kind of a promise is that? So they're going to screw us over in 4 years, in other words. And that's what they're saying. They're saying they're going to do it, and we let them do that. The other thing they're going to probably say is, hey, yeah, we won't tear down a Christian church maybe for the next, I don't know, 2 years. And they'll do it anyway because they've never stopped. But unless you actually hold them accountable for the real spectrum of just abuses, nothing is going to change. They're playing the long game, and we're playing the short game.
How about TikTok? In Air Force One, Trump was asked if he's going to sign TikTok deal. Trump has said that TikTok helped him to win the election. We see recent reports that it seems to have promoted Zohran Mamdani in the New York elections. What's your take on the TikTok issue?
So I do think it's likely they will sign the TikTok deal. Why is that?
China will sell it?
Absolutely. You know why? Because they can influence it through corporations that control it anyways. They're talking about letting Oracle control it. Oracle helped the CCP build its surveillance systems. They sell them surveillance technology. They work with the CCP. If an American tech company takes over TikTok, they can pressure that tech company and control it anyway. It makes no difference. The problem is not just TikTok. They're talking about selling American data. Almost all major tech companies sell American data to China. It's just they sell it not to like the CCP. They sell it to major Chinese companies. And because of Chinese data laws, they get access to all of it. It's a big game. It's a big game, and nobody wants to tell people what's really going on. All these companies do it. And so unless they put the foot down and say, hey, look, no more selling our data to companies, they're going to give it to the CCP. Until they say, we're not going to let a company that works with the CCP on surveillance technology in China control a system we're concerned about surveillance with related to China. Like, what kind of logic is this? Very likely the CCP will sign that deal because it's going to make Trump look good. It's what he wants, and they know that they're going to control it one way or the other in the long term, I think, at least to an extent. Maybe not fully, but at least to an extent. And for them, what is TikTok when they can influence America through other means and basically keep all that on the table still, sign a good deal, again, give a little, lose a little, but in the long term, they're going to take all of it.
Josh, about 30 seconds. If you could see one thing come from Trump's Asia tour this week, what would it be?
Well, I do think there are people very close to Trump who very well understand the CCP. I think Marco Rubio very clearly understands the CCP. I think Scott Bennett very clearly understands the CCP. So Trump has very good people talking to him. What I do hope is that they look at a long-term deal, not a short-term solution.
What would that look like?
That would look like decoupling from the CCP.
Really?
It would.
You said it, the D word.
Which is what a lot of people are saying who understand the CCP. There's nothing else that could solve it. We need to treat them like they treat us, which is an adversary.
There you go. Joshua Phillip, Epoch Times, Crossroads. Appreciate it, Josh. Take care.
Thank you.
And still to come, we take a look at what it will mean to bring back a focus on beautiful construction of American transportation infrastructure. We have that and more after the break.
So at the age of 5, I was sexually molested. I had my first child at the age of 15 and became homeless at the age of 16. The scariest part about not having a place to live was having a child and not having a place to live and not knowing where our meal was going to come from and where we're going to sleep. To be homeless as a teen, I didn't ask for that.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or a warm meal to eat, or whether anyone cares about them. 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year, and that's unacceptable. But the good news is there is an organization making a big difference, Covenant House.
Call or go online now. For a gift of only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can provide hot meals, safe shelter, medical care, and love to more than 2,000 young people who sleep at a Covenant House every night.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis.
It was pretty tough. But Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
Call or go online right now to safeplacetosleep.org with your gift of just $19 a month. With your monthly donation, you'll receive this soft, comforting blanket as a reminder of the warmth and safety your gift will provide a young person tonight.
I have no words to express how Covenant House changed my life. They gave me the love that I needed. They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
Your $19 monthly gift is urgently needed to reach other young people who are facing unimaginable situations. Call or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.
Your support makes the work of Covenant House possible. Thank you for caring.
According to ancient Chinese medicine, purslane is considered a medicinal herb and is used to help lower cholesterol, improve vascular functions, and prevent diabetes. Perilla seeds can nourish the lungs and spleen. It is used to treat asthma and improve pulmonary functions. Puritang green vegetable omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds from Hwangmae Mountain in South Korea. It contains over 90% of omega-3, 6, 7, and 9. The highest concentration possible without chemical additives. The soft gel is made of natural seaweed. It is 100% organic and vegan. Both adults and children can take it with peace of mind. Ancient recipes were passed down from heaven to bring prosperity and longevity. Puritang green vegetable omega-3.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Graney. In Argentina, President Javier Milei's party is set to win a decisive victory in the midterm elections. In a victory speech, Milei hailed the win as a historic turning point for the nation.
Today has clearly been a historic day for Argentina. The Argentine people have decided to leave behind 100 years of decline and persevere on the path to freedom, progress, and growth. Today, we have passed a turning point. Today marks the beginning of building a great Argentina.
It's Milei's first major electoral test since taking office in 2023. Local media reported the party captured more than 40% of the national vote. Observers say the elections were a referendum on Milei's so-called shock therapy reforms aimed at slashing state spending and bureaucracy. Milei promised to put in place changes that would, quote, make Argentina great again. President Trump congratulated Milei on his victory, saying on Truth Social his administration's confidence in him was validated by the people of Argentina. Trump recently provided Argentina with a hefty financial rescue package, but had threatened to pull it away if Milei did not do well. And the U.S. has amassed a significant military presence in the Caribbean Sea as part of the Trump administration's effort to combat narco-terrorist organizations operating in the region. Our Washington correspondent, Luis Eduardo Martinez, has the latest developments and what we can expect in the days to come.
Thus far, the Trump administration has authorized 9 strikes against cartels, both in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. Some 43 designated narco-terrorists have been killed trying to smuggle over 100,000 lethal doses of illegal drugs.
Se están inventando.
The people of the United States know it. They are fabricating a new eternal war. They promised they would never again get involved in a war, and they are fabricating a war that we will avoid. How? By mobilizing the people of South America.
Nicolas Maduro, an indicted narco-terrorist, has a $50 million bounty on his head. He is accused of leading the cartel of the Suns and aiding and abetting other terrorist organizations infiltrate the United States, like Tren de Aragua and the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah.
If I was Maduro, I'd head to Russia or China right now.
Because?
His days are numbered. Something's going to happen. Whether it's internal or external, I think something's going to happen.
The U.S. has an amphibious readiness group with 4,000 Marines. The world's largest and most advanced aircraft carrier group and its entire air wing, a fast-attack nuclear submarine, 4 destroyers, a special forces ship, and a surveillance plane in the region.
President Trump told me yesterday that he plans to brief members of Congress
when he gets back from Asia about future potential military operations against Venezuela and Colombia. So there will be a congressional briefing about a potential expanding from the sea to the land.
Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado has backed the U.S. strikes on foreign terrorist organizations and has thanked President Trump for his efforts in dismantling Maduro's narco-terrorist network that helped finance his regime.
The assets are there to do everything up to and including decapitation of government. Now, has a decision been made? That I don't know. But it looks increasingly like some action may take place.
Since Nicolas Maduro took power in Venezuela back in 2013, some 8 million Venezuelans have fled the country, causing the largest refugee crisis in the Americas in history. Close to 1 million Venezuelans have migrated to the United States. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
In the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the country would determine which foreign forces it would allow as part of a planned international force in Gaza. Here's Netanyahu speaking at a cabinet meeting over the weekend.
We control our own security, and we have made clear that in regard to international forces, Israel will determine which forces are unacceptable to us, and that is how we act and will continue to act. This is of course accepted by the United States as well, and its most senior representatives made clear in recent days. Israel is an independent state. We will defend ourselves by ourselves, and we will continue to control our fate.
It remains unclear whether Arab and other states will be ready to commit troops. That's in part given the refusal of Hamas to disarm, while Israel has voiced concerns about the makeup of the force. The Trump administration has ruled out sending U.S. soldiers into the Gaza Strip, but says it has spoken to multiple countries about contributing to the force. Last week, Netanyahu hinted that he would be opposed to any role for Turkish security forces in Gaza. Once warm Turkish-Israeli relations soured drastically during the Gaza war. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke about the international force during his visit to Israel on Friday.
There's a lot of countries that have offered to do it. Obviously, as you put together this force, it'll have to be people that Israel's comfortable, or countries that Israel's comfortable with as well. Let me just say that I think there are a lot of countries that are expressing interest right now.
Rubio added that Gaza's future governance still needed to be worked out among Israel and partner nations, but could not include Hamas. A major challenge to Trump's peace plan is that Hamas has not committed to disarming. Since the ceasefire began, Hamas has waged a violent crackdown on clans that have tested its grip on power. At the same time, the remains of 13 deceased hostages remain in Gaza, with Hamas citing obstacles to locating them.
We know Hamas can return them.
However, an Israeli government spokesperson said on Sunday Hamas knew where the bodies were. Israel allowed the entry of an Egyptian technical team to work with the Red Cross to locate the remains. On Sunday, they met with Hamas to search beyond the yellow line, demarcating the Israeli military's pullback in the Gaza Strip.
And staying in the Middle East, Secretary of State Marco Rubio today discussing an Israeli strike on Gaza. Rubio said Washington does not view the targeting of a member of a Palestinian terrorist group as a violation of a U.S.-backed ceasefire. Israel said it struck a member of the Islamic Jihad terror group on Saturday. It accused the individual of planning to attack Israeli troops. Islamic Jihad denied it was planning an attack, but Rubio says Israel has not surrendered its right to self-defense as part of the peace agreement. The Secretary of State says Jerusalem can respond to imminent threats. Rubio said the ceasefire in Gaza was based on obligations on both sides, repeating that Hamas must quickly return the remains of hostages who died in captivity. And a breakthrough in the Louvre Museum jewel heist. French police have arrested 2 suspects linked to the theft of royal jewels. They were caught while preparing to flee the country. NTD's international correspondent David Vives reports from Paris.
French police have arrested 2 suspects who allegedly took part in the theft of the royal jewels from the Louvre Museum. Paris prosecutor's office says one was caught at Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport as he tried to board a flight to Algeria. The other was reportedly preparing to travel to Mali. Both men were located in the northeastern suburbs of Paris and were already known to authorities for jewelry store robberies. Police had identified the two suspects last week and followed them in the hope of finding the stolen jewels. When officers realized they were about to flee France, they proceeded with the arrests. Police are also investigating a possible inside job, as one Louvre employee may have been an accomplice in the theft. Officers are now searching for two remaining suspects. The four thieves used a mechanical lift to reach a first-floor balcony of the Louvre's Gallery of Apollo, where they cut through a window using power tools. Investigators said they found about 150 DNA samples, including on a helmet and a glove, which led to the arrests. The stolen collection, worth over $100 million, includes a diamond tiara and a necklace once worn by Empress Eugénie, the wife of Napoleon III. The arrests mark an important first step toward recovering the jewels.
Yes, it's important for our heritage. A week later, it does feel a bit late. We wonder how this could even happen, but it was important that the guys were caught.
I think the main thing now is whether they can recover the jewels. That's what really matters.
A Senate hearing with the Louvre's president last week highlighted major flaws in the museum's security, including cameras pointed away from the area during the robbery and thin glass on the windows. The Louvre has since transferred its remaining jewels to the Bank of France for safekeeping. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
And Americans will adjust their clocks Sunday when daylight saving time ends at 2 a.m. local time. The annual change means people will have to tinker with their internal clocks too. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
Americans will get an extra hour of shut-eye when the clocks roll back into Standard Time Sunday. Standard Time will last until March 8th, when Daylight Saving Time returns. Jamie Zeitzer at Stanford's Center for Sleep and Circadian Sciences explains how our internal clocks keep ticking.
You have a central circadian clock, and it is basically a clock that's inside your brain. And it's a 24-hour clock, or a near 24-hour clock, that needs to get synchronized to our 24-hour day.
The American Medical Association and American Academy of Sleep Medicine have long advocated for standard time year-round. New research from Stanford finds that switching back and forth is the worst option for our health. Zeitzer says there's a natural remedy.
Getting early morning light is great. So when you wake up, get that light, and that'll help accelerate the switch faster.
If light first thing isn't feasible, there are other options.
If you can, go outside. If not, try to be in a brightly lit room as much as possible, or sit by a window. This will help facilitate kind of shifting your clock faster in the fall.
Most countries do not observe daylight saving time. In the U.S., Arizona and Hawaii don't change and stay on standard time. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Matcha has become popular across the globe, featured in lattes, teas, ice creams, even cocktails. And in addition to flavor, some people are turning to the ingredient for its health benefits. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on the finely ground Japanese green tea.
Tea ceremony instructor Keiko Kaneko uses a small wooden spoon to place a dot of matcha into a porcelain bowl. She brews the Japanese green tea with hot water and a bamboo whisk.
The spirit and philosophy of Japanese culture are concentrated in one bowl of matcha. I am very pleased that matcha has been introduced in many other cultures and been appreciated around the world.
Matcha is a type of tea that's grown in shade, steamed, and then finely ground. Global Japanese Tea Association founder Anna Poyon explains the traditional version.
It's a very delicate and complex tea. So that is produced with the idea to be drunk only with water, which is, well, the traditional way, like in the tea ceremony. Even if you don't have it in a tea ceremony, but just even at home for yourself.
Poyon is hesitant about matcha's global appeal, not because of its popularity, but because she's a purist.
If you mix that delicate tea with other things, with milk, with other ingredients, with sugar and so on, all these other ingredients will cover the taste of the tea. So it's a bit of a shame.
But that isn't stopping large coffee purveyors like Starbucks. Its matcha creme frappuccino is made with additions including whole milk, whipped cream, and syrup, one of many popular iterations of the traditional beverage. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
A lot of matcha. And as the fall season settles across North America, Canadians are embracing the harvest spirit. In Vancouver, local farms are welcoming visitors with ripe pumpkins, corn mazes, and family-friendly autumn activities that are drawing crowds eager to enjoy the crisp seasonal air.
Upon entering the farm, visitors are greeted by a small pumpkin-themed town, complete with a sheriff's office, a saloon, a schoolhouse, and a general store. Further along the path, a large pumpkin tower stands at the center of the display, drawing many people to pause and capture photos.
It's beautiful to turn your laptop off for a day and come out here and enjoy the sunshine and the pumpkins and everything.
Our theme has always been more of fall harvest, just focused on the agriculture and the beautiful fall scenes. We're here for the agriculture and just the enjoyment out there.
The farm also features a range of seasonal activities. Visitors can be seen playing games with mini pumpkins, trying their aim at the ball toss station, and spending time outdoors in the crisp autumn air.
It's incredible. This whole place is so much family-friendly activities. Like, there's stuff for little kids, there's stuff for adults, there's stuff for every kind here.
I really feel appreciative about it. It's a nature, and we should all love to the nature. Whatever nature will give it to us, we'll give back to the nature too.
3, 2, 1.
At one of the activity stations, visitors stop to watch a pumpkin cannon being fired at a stack of barrels. Each launch drew cheers and applause from spectators.
I was so surprised, and yeah, it was my first time to see the situation.
There's also the pumpkin launching there, so I can play, and then when the pumpkin launch starts, I can run over and see it.
In the animal area, goats wagged their tails as visitors approached, while cats played nearby and colorful pheasants paced through the enclosure. Visitors paused to pet the animals, enjoying a relaxing moment in the farm.
It's pumpkin season. It's a refreshing experience for sure.
NTD News, Canada.
Fall fun. And after the break, President Trump issues a warning to Russia after Moscow tested a new nuclear weapon. We have that and more after the break.
Divinely inspired traditional oil painting inspires compassion. Artwork created in truth and beauty illuminates a path to goodness. Rediscover traditional art, revive classical culture. We warmly invite oil painters from around the world to participate in the 7th NTD International Figure Painting Competition, a celebration of classical realism. Please visit oilpainting.ntdtv.com.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
What if kids in America didn't have to go to bed hungry tonight? What if our moms, dads, and grandparents could put healthy food on the table every day to help us grow strong? What if all of our friends and neighbors had fresh food too, and there was no hunger at all in America? And what if there was a way today for you to help? Call now or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. So many of us don't have enough food to eat, but your monthly gift means families across the country and in your community can fill plates with food. Kids can get healthy meals year-round, even when school's out, and our neighbors can have fresh food. Food that moms, dads, entire families need to thrive. But right now, more people are facing hunger. Feeding America works from coast to coast with partner food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. It takes all of us to make that happen. Will you help too? Please call the number on your screen or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give just $19 a month. And we'll send you this free canvas grocery bag. It's our way of saying thank you for helping to end hunger for our neighbors. Because no kid, no mom or dad, nobody should go hungry in America. Nobody. So what if today was the day you could help nourish futures for our friends, our families, for all of us? Ending hunger is possible. What if we end it together?
Call or give online today at helpfeedingamerica.org and your gift can be doubled.
Thank you.
NTD News, the fastest growing independent news source in America, bringing you breaking news from around the world. Expert analysis, investigative reporting, and original award-winning documentaries. We're known for our uncensored